Clean Skies' Tyler Suiters has been following the fits and starts within the Environment Committee. And Tyler, what is behind this latest delay?
Fits and starts, a great term, Susan. The latest delay seems to be about strategy. Simply put, the Democrats don't want anything hanging over the Labor Day holiday, the summer recess that's not too far off. Instead, they'll hold off on the introduction and the arrival on the Senate floor until sometime in September. Now, today I talked with Mike McKenna of MWR Strategies here in Washington, D.C. He is very close to this entire process because, as he says, he has clients that care a great deal about the outcome of climate legislation in the House and the Senate. Because of that, he has been inside the negotiations both on the House side for the ACES Act and now on the Senate side and the pending Boxer climate bill. And McKenna says this delay makes a conference play more likely in terms of the political strategy we'll see on this climate bill. But I asked him very directly, once all of this does come to fruition, what happens come September?
Senator Reid will pick off the more attractive and consensus-oriented pieces of the energy legislation that comes out of Senate Energy, the RES, some of the transmission, energy efficiency, and runs that through the Senate, and that they try to add the climate title in conference. I'm not saying that that's likely. I'm saying it became more likely when the schedule became attenuated.
In your mind, Mike, and from the negotiating process and what you've seen on the inside, why is the Senate so much different than the House? Is it the climate? Is it the numbers? Or is it really the geographical differences that we've been citing for months now?
Yeah, it's not terribly well understood, and I don't think it's taught in a lot of political science classes, but the Senate is a purely regional body, just by the way it's set up. And on an issue like this, where there are sometimes really stark and dramatic regional differences, there's a lot of trouble getting things through the Senate, and energy is especially prone to that sort of thing, and we're seeing it play out here.
Last week I heard Henry Waxman talk about those geographical differences and the fact that he addressed those in the Waxman-Markey ACES bill. In your opinion, do you agree that they are well enough addressed to make progress in the Senate?
Well, I think what Henry Waxman tried to do was spread out the cost of a program over the first 20 years or so, through transition allowances, free allowances, if you will. But the underlying reality of it is that coal is a loser in this, and anybody from a state that makes or uses coal, digs it out of the ground or uses coal, is fully aware of that.
That's even with the $10 billion that Waxman-Markey puts out for CCS research?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think the Waxman-Markey effort did its level best that it could, but I'm not sure it's going to be sufficient for, like I said, coal producing and using regions.
One of the things you mentioned to me, Mike, was the fact that Rick Boucher has been talking to senators, not just recently, but for months now. Here's a big-time coal guy, and he brought everybody on board in the House. What's going on with his role with senators right now?
Well, he's been talking to the senators, and truthfully, he gave Chairman Waxman a lot of cover with some of the coal votes in the House. I'm not quite sure senators outside of the Commonwealth of Virginia are going to be as impressed with Rick Boucher's approval as the folks inside of Virginia were. So I think it's, again, probably one of those things that's necessary but may not be sufficient in the long run.
Now, even with those delays regarding the release of Barbara Boxer's bill, the Environment and Public Works Committee, the committee she chairs, is proceeding with its rigorous schedule of climate change legislation hearings this week. Tomorrow, a doubleheader of sorts. First of all, in the morning, the committee will hear the role of agriculture in terms of cutting GHG pollution through offsets. Susan, the afternoon edition for EPW will be how the transportation sector affects carbon emissions. Secretary Ray LaHood should be there for that testimony.
Okay, so Tyler, Mike McKenna was on target when predicting the end game for Waxman-Markey in the House. Any predictions from him about the Boxer bill?
He's that rare analyst, Susan, who will say these three words: I don't know. Mike was very clear about the fact that this is still a very open question. This bill hasn't even been released within the committee itself. He did, however, say that he's concerned, or at least has concerns, about two Democratic senators, Claire McCaskill of Missouri and Sherrod Brown of Ohio. These are the two he named, saying they may be well out of reach for the Democratic majority on this. They may just not come around no matter what's in this bill. So his point, Susan, is that he sees the Boxer bill ending with a series of unsuccessful cloture votes. This is his best guess. And after that, he says Reid and Boxer will simply set this climate bill aside. So we may be doing this all over again in 2010.
Wow. All right. We'll wait to see if this prediction pans out. Tyler Suiters, thank you.
You're welcome.